Hello and welcome back to another Nerf combos video for the channel. My name is Luke Triton and today we are covering the Commander. Some style points there. So this is a top prime spring action blaster with a 6-dart cylinder, and this is from the Elite 2.0 line. Elite 2.0 is a combination of Modulus and the previous Elite line. So there is tactical potential all over this blaster. We have a barrel and stock attachment point, a rail on the top and 2 rails on the bottom. This blaster also has slam fire, which I don't think I really took into consideration when it came to making my combos, but it's still a good feature for a spring blaster, and personally I believe that all spring blasters going forward should have a slam fire option. Now this is more of a secondary than it is a primary, so making these combos was quite interesting to say the least. And to anybody who is tuning in to my combo series for the first time with this video, I have 3 traditional classes, which is a heavy gunner, a close quarters and a long range setup for these blasters. And then go into my personal combo as if I was going to take this blaster into a Nerf war. That's how I would arrange it. And then any gimmick combos after that with any kind of special or silly themes. So of course we're going to kick things off with the heavy. And this is my heavy combo. It is not at all what you would think for a heavy gunner now, isn't it? It is very much melee focused, but then again, it's a very in-your-face style of heavy gunner. You can't really fire this from the hip with a handle like you would with an automatic blaster, because this is a cylinder blaster with 6 darts and it is top primed. It's a secondary, not a primary. So for what it is, this is all I could really think of. At the front for the barrel, we are using the spike tooth barrel, and this is something I made a custom version of, but once I knew this existed, I kind of fell in love with it because it's seriously a really cool attachment. You get up close to someone, you just poke them. Got the spike tooth there, you got some points. We also have the twin slice, which has 2 foam discs. Yes, you only have 6 darts, but you're not going to be really using it for this combo now, are you? You can't quite close the distance. How about you throw some foam discs at them instead? And for what this attachment is, kind of reminding myself of what I've got, this attachment is such a really cool and unique idea. If I was going to be making my own one, like for, I don't know, for any reason in the future, I thought to myself, okay, I have the materials to make my own attachment, what could I make? I would never think to make anything like this. This is really cool. And the stock is the chop stock, which is basically an axe. And you can take it off for it to become its own thing. Now that is a very cool item, but it's not really comfortable when you get it in your shoulder. You can't really aim down sights. But you're not going to be aiming down sights with this kind of combo now, are you? This is my heavy combo. Up next we have the close quarters combo, and this is a very busy blaster. So at the front we have the Retaliator barrel. My old ass sees this as the Recon barrel, but it is the Retaliator barrel just because of the coloration, but that's okay. On the bottom rail is the 8 dart holder, which came from the barrel break. This is an open cylinder blaster where you have to reload the darts manually. Something like this becomes very helpful. At the middle, I suppose, it makes more sense for this to be a middle grip than a foregrip. Having my hand kind of flat on the blaster was a bit uncomfortable, a bit awkward. Just having this there just makes things so much easier for me. On the top we have everybody's favourites, red dot sights, because it is really cool. And under here, on this weird rail, which I never thought I would actually fill up, we have the 4 darts holder that came from the Modulus Ion Fire. So we have another 12 darts of storage ready to rock and roll. You can fill this blaster twice over, or you can use the stock shot, which is a stock and its own blaster. Bit of a finicky thing to try and get a hold of, there we go. So if you find yourself in a position where you can't reload your primary, it's weird to call this a primary again, I still see this as a secondary. You have 4 backup shots ready to go, and you have this attached to your main blaster. So there's always going to be a moment where you have this ready to go. You could technically have this primed, but then again, weakening the springs is always a thing that happens with these kind of springs. Whoa, nearly knocked over some magazines there. Let me say that again. Priming this at the ready could be a thing you could do, but weakening the spring is going to be a consequence. If you go for half an hour and not use this, then, you know, that's just something to consider basically. But for what this is, it's busy, but this is my close quarters combo. And finally, the last of the 3 traditional classes is long range, and this kind of looks like a sniper rifle, but it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? So the barrel I'm using is from the Fortnite pistol. I don't know what it's called, I don't care for Fortnite, but the overall shape of it is why I picked this, and I don't ever really get to use this barrel. I think I've only ever used it on 1, maybe 2 other combos. But yeah, just, you know, for the sake of the silhouettes, why not use it? I mean, a barrel's going to go here anyway, may as well use something a little bit more fun. We have the good old reliable Modulus scope, and The way this has been set up, I'm not actually looking down the middle of the scope. It's more angled like that. But it doesn't really matter. Nerf blasters aren't exactly accurate anyway. Not with these darts anyway. On the bottom, we have the modulus bipod from the long range kit, which is the same thing where you can get this scope. It's a bit oddly positioned, but then again, when you're laying down, I suppose that's one of the best places for it because this tactical rail is already pretty low. You could swap it out with a different barrel and put the bipod on that bottom rail, but this is just a personal preference thing. And finally, we have a Zombie Strike stock, which the name still escapes me, but it has an 8 dart storage thing in the back. Whilst I could have used the Ion Fire 4 dart holder down here again, it's not really necessary because when you're in the position of being a sniper, you're not exactly in the fray. You have your darts ready to go, and you're not going to really rely on reloading too much. You're not exactly going to be firing all of your darts in one go. So, for as weird as this looks, this is my long-range combo. And now we move on to my personal combo. If I was going to take this blaster into a Nerf war, this is how I would take it. So, at the front we have the barrel attachment for the Mediator. This is its own separate item, as well as its own separate blaster. So you pump this handle for a few seconds. It is an air compression, is that the word? It's an air system basically, so you pump it a few times and this button here on the side, you press it and darts would fly out. This fires all 3 darts at once. It's a great backup. You can have this pumped and I don't think any pressure would escape. If you feel uncertain anyway, you can pump it a few more times, but there's no kind of over pressuring, so that's another good thing as well. Just to have that as you go around the corner, if you see someone, you've got that ready to go, because that's 3 darts being fired instead of 1 from your main blaster. Underneath we have the return of the Ion Fire dart holder, and the barrel brake dart holder here on this stock. The stock I am using, if I turn it around because it's probably a bit easier to see without the dart holder there, is one of my favourite looking stocks ever because it's really cool. This is from the Modulus Demolisher kind of ultimate customizer kit. And just to turn it back around, just show you what else this thing can do. So there are 2 buttons on this stock. Press this one and that back piece moves backwards. Press this top button and this cheek rester goes up as well. So you can configure this to be a little bit longer. You can have this to be more comfortable depending on how big or small you are. I'm not using any sights because I don't think I would care too much for using sights. Knowing this has slam fire, you've got to be sacrificing some accuracy anyway. But yeah, with the overall kind of setup I got going on here, I think this could work really well. I would end up exhausting my ammo very quickly, especially because this is only a 6 dart cylinder. But this is my personal combo. And now we move on to the gimmick combos for this blaster. I have 2 for this episode. The first one is going to be the same thing I'm doing for the Shockwave, and you have to say it in a really stupid way. It's called Elite. So yeah, you have to say that with a bit of a voice break. So it basically has anything that is from the Elite 2.0 line. I only have the barrel and the stock from the Echo. I sadly don't have the Phoenix, and that does come with a scope, so just pretend the scope is here. I say this in a really stupid way because Elite 2.0 was not received well from the community, and after a year later, it's still as bad as we remember. You know, but for what it is, it's fun to kind of just make this kind of silly, gimmicky combo. So basically, as more Elite 2.0 blasters come out down the line, for a proper Elite 2.0 gimmick, you can just put on any blaster's attachments, I should say, from any blaster onto this kind of configuration. And that is the Elite 2.0 gimmick combo. And the final combo for this video is called the Spectre 2.0. This blaster is seen as the successor to the Spectre from the previous N-Strike and N-Strike Elite lines, and that came with 2 attachments. It came with one of the most popular barrels ever. This is a very cool looking barrel because it looks like a suppressor, but more so, the inner diameter of this barrel is wider than any other barrel. Well, most other barrels, for example. There is the one from the Scavenger, I think, is much wider, but, you know, this is pretty good. Now, just to quickly explain, because some people are going to go, why is this wider? So when this came up with the Spectre all those years ago, it was during the original N-Strike days, and at that point, it was using something called a Whistler dart, where the head of the dart was much wider. Now, for something that was cylinder-fed, it didn't use the standard Elite darts that are used today. So the inner diameter of the barrel had to be thicker to allow the bigger headed darts to fit through. So that's why this is much wider. it also came with a stock. Great attachment, terrible attachment. It's very flimsy, but I love the idea that it's a folding stock, so you can use it as a sort of a close quarters stealth operation sort of blaster thing. But it's so weak. I mean, so many people have complained about it. I'm not someone who puts a lot of pressure into it, but even then, you don't have to do anything to really get it to wiggle. But the Commander is supposed to be the successor to the Spectre. This is the Spectre 2.0. And that is it for this combos video. Thank you all so much for watching. It's a bit of a rarity to have more than one gimmick combo, but I was glad I was able to kind of come up with them. They're a bit cheap for what they are, but at the same time, at least it's something. And it's good to be able to play with my attachments on my blasters again, because I do have a big old box right in front of me full of all of my attachments, and I'm really excited to collect more attachments in the future because there are so many ideas and so many different ways you can make different attachments, and it's my favourite thing about the hobby because it's still a toy. These are accessories for my toy and I love playing with them. So thank you all ever so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next episode. Bye bye.